it did not know him. Beloved, we are God's children now. What we will be has not yet been revealed. What we do know is this: when he is revealed, we will be like him, for we will see him as he is. And all who have this hope in him purify themselves, just as he is pure. And from Revelation: after this I looked, and there was a great multitude that no one could count, from every nation, from all tribes and peoples and languages, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, robed in white, with palm branches in their hands. They cried out in a loud voice, saying, "Salvation belongs to our God, who is seated on the throne, and to the Lamb." And all the angels stood around the throne and around the elders and the 4 living creatures, and they fell on their faces before the throne and worshiped God, singing, "Amen, blessing and glory and wisdom and thanksgiving and honor and power and might be to our God forever and ever. Amen." Then one of the elders addressed me, saying, "Who are these robed in white, and where have they come from?" I said to him, "Sir, you are the one who knows." Then he said to me, "These are they who have come out of the great ordeal. They have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. For this reason they are before the throne of God and worship him day and night within his temple, and the one who is seated on the throne will shelter them. They will hunger no more and thirst no more. The sun will not strike them, nor any scorching heat. For the Lamb at the center of the throne will be their shepherd, and he will guide them to springs of the water of life, and God will wipe away every tear from their eyes." Please rise for our gospel reading. I'm going to be reading the Beatitudes from the Gospel according to Matthew. When Jesus saw the crowds, he went up the mountain, and after he sat down, his disciples came to him. He began to speak and taught them, saying, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will receive mercy. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called children of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted for the sake of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are you when people revile you and persecute you and utter all kinds of evil against you falsely on my account. Rejoice and be glad, for your reward is great in heaven, for in the same way they persecuted the prophets who were before you." This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks be to God.
Let us unite our hearts together in prayer. Breathe on me, breath of God, I am wholly thine. To all this earthly part of me glows with thy fire divine. May the words of my mouth and the meditations of all our hearts be holy and acceptable unto you, O God, our rock and our redeemer. Amen. It was more of a command than a request. After church, Clara Goblins asked if I would go visit her cousin, Thelma Mannheim, who had been diagnosed with cancer. Now, and she said also that Thelma didn't go to church. Now, that's risky business for a pastor. To go visiting somebody that you don't know, who's a relative, who doesn't go to church. But like I said, it was more of a command than a request. Thelma, with her wild hair and her funky hats, her big big heart, I went. I went and visited Thelma and her husband. I poked my head around the corner, and what I noticed were two people just sitting there. She was laid out flat on her back, and he was sitting propped up on a chair, and they weren't watching television or talking to each other or reading the newspaper. They were just staring out in space. So I kind of figured they were taking in the diagnosis, using all that space in their mind and their neurons to take in the diagnosis that they didn't have much time. That chemotherapy wasn't going to work, that surgery wasn't going to work, that here was the end coming. So I entered the room. And Thelma said, "We aren't churchgoers. Wouldn't matter if we were. Wouldn't change how we lived." Then she looked at her husband for confirmation, and he shook his head and gazed straight ahead. Well, there was a part of me that wanted to say, it may not change the way you live, but would it change the way you die? I don't know if it was pastoral sensitivity or plain out fear that didn't ask that question, but I wanted to. And I think I would have been a good representative of God if I had. Does it change the way you die? On All Saints Sunday, the day we recognize the saints of our lives, all those who have gone before us, I get a little mystical and sentimental. Does it change the way we die? I remember growing up, and I would play outside on all those long summer days. And my mom would have to call me in for dinner. "Michelle, supper time!" And soon all the other mothers were yelling, "Doug, Tim, Dan, Robbie, come on in, supper time!" Today I hear the voice of God calling our loved ones. Come on in. Come on in. It's dinner time. Come on home. Gather around the table. Gather in. All the saints gathered round. Can you imagine it? All the saints gathered round the table, eating together, all our loved ones. Come on in. It's dinner time, and in which I say, let us lift our hearts in thanks and praise to God. And we say, praise be to God. It's dinner time. Come on in. Come on in. And I can also hear these words that I sing to God on their behalf. In the blessedness of your saints, you have given us a glorious pledge of the hope of your calling, that moved by your witness and supported by your fellowship, we may run with perseverance the race that is set before us, and with them receive the unfailing crown of glory. And so with the church on earth and the hosts of heaven, we praise your name and join the unending hymn. And then we all sing, holy, 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 Lord of power and might. Blessed is the one who comes in the name of the Lord. Because it's a dinner of all of us gathered round the table. For we too are the saints. We are all singing and gathered. Today I hear the voices of Carolyn and Adeline and Glenna and Gloria and Sandra and Marie and all of us gathered. And as we make our bouquet today, we make it as the saints and us, all of us. It's All Saints Sunday. No one is left out. No one is left out. You aren't left out from the table. I'm not left out from the table. Come on in. It's supper time. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. We are all the children of God and the saints of God. Come on in. Now, I'm not saying that those two people I visited in the hospital are more moral than I am. They could be more moral than I am. Probably might be. But does it matter if I go to church? It does. Does it matter how I die? It does. Because I want to be among the saints who are baptized. I want to come on in. I think that every Sunday we come from the baptismal font to the altar. We are welcomed. Come on in. Come on in. Today is All Saints Sunday, and we remember them all. Thanks be to God.